This is The Chris Heasley Show, a Mike Kahn presentation. Coming to you from Radiodabang, the North America's premier broadcasting network.
Hello, this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show, and we have an incredible show. We're going to give the state of the local races here in Fort Bend and in Harris counties today. So tune in. We're going to give you the full update. And in our studio today, we have Adam Schoof, who is a candidate for Fort Bend County Precinct 4 Commissioner's Court.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Thank you for being on the show. Look forward to talking to you more about that. And we have Richard Vega, who is a candidate for Harris County Commissioner 2 Commissioner's Court.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Good to see you guys. Good to see both of you. Well, let's get right into it. And first, I want to talk about both of your races. And Richard, we'll start with you. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a pastor, United States Army veteran, my father, my husband, and I'm a leader within my community. I serve my community. And that pretty much sums me up. I love my Jesus. I love my country. I love my family.
So you're really a community guy.
100%. Yeah. I love people. I have to, I get up and I got to go. I got to go be with people.
And tell us a little bit about your work as a pastor.
Yeah, so I'm a community pastor at Community Transformation Church, and I'm constantly involved, obviously, in our communities. I show up, like I was sharing with you, I show up, from funerals to hospitals to back-to-school drives, outreaches. You name it, I've done it, and I still do it, right? On the way here, got a phone call, I got to go visit with the family. It's what I do.
So we're in the Republican primary right now, and tell us about your primary, your Precinct 2 primary race.
Yeah, so, our primary race, I got me and another challenger. We've been pretty focused on just pulling out the voters, just getting out there and educating the voters, because a lot of them don't know what's been going on with the county. I think this season, people are a little bit more educated on what Commissioner's Court does because of the chaos that's gone on. But even out at the polls today, people are asking me, what does a county commissioner do? And so they don't realize how much the county commissioner controls their front door. And from taxes, right, to flooding and public safety, so many other issues that are there, but I do have a challenger. I have an opponent, and we're going head to head, and we'll see how it all looks on March 3rd.
What would you give as your over-under on the state of your specific campaign today?
I think we're probably around a 60-40.
In your favor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We believe so. We've walked, we've done everything we're supposed to do. We've hit over 11,000, almost 12,000 doors. We'll be block walking tomorrow. We show up to all of the HOAs. We show up to all the events. You name it. And I've been doing this way before I even started my campaign. I'm a community pastor, so I'm constantly out there. I'm constantly in the community, regardless if I ran or not.
Where is Precinct 2? What parts of Harris County is that?
Oh, wow. So you have Seabrook, that area, Clear Lake, Deer Park, LaPorte, Pasadena, Baytown, Galena Park, Gisano City. Well, it goes all the way to Aldine. I was trying to work my way all the way up. So it actually goes, let's just say, from Seabrook to Aldine, which is Aldine 45, Beltway 8 North, and within the Greens, a little bit of the Greens Point area and the Aldine area.
That's huge.
It's massive. It's the largest county commissioner seat in the state of Texas.
What are the pressing issues in that precinct? Precinct 2.
So, obviously, flooding and public safety. So, all the major five bayous flow through Precinct 2. We know that the county commissioners brought forth a bond years ago, back in 2018, and voted for a $2.5 billion bond to improve our infrastructure, which they took $1 billion of that dollars and they decided to do whatever they wanted to do with it, which left us very vulnerable within precinct 2. And now we're seeing it with the floodings. I mean, when it just rains, I mean, streets that never flooded are starting to flood. I mean, drainage. You look at city of Houston, Pasadena, in Deer Park, all these cities, Galena Park, San Jose City. The infrastructure underneath the piping is very old. We're talking 60 years old, right? 70 years old. It can't keep up with that water flow to get out to the ship channel the way it's supposed to, right? So it needs a lot of help. I know the county has done a lot of work with the Army Corps of Engineers to be able to widen ditches, make them deeper, and try to help the flow of water. But that's a major issue. And also crime. I mean, crime is through the roof. Violent crime of young kids is through the roof over 300%, which is just insane. Which they don't want to mention it, but that's crazy. And we're talking about violent crimes. We're not talking about, stealing a pack of gum. We're talking about youth in violent crimes.
Yeah, I want to get into all that stuff. I want to bring Adam into the conversation before that, though. So, Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, Chris.
Great. Well, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for Commissioner's Court.
Well, my name is Adam Schoof. I'm running for County Commissioner in Precinct 4, Fort Bend County. And I'm a U.S. Army veteran, enlisted when I turned 18. And I've been a law enforcement officer for a total of 16 years now. And I currently hold elected office on the Board of Trustees for the Fort Bend Independent School District. And my whole key points has been saving money. We're in the middle of bond refinance in order to, which that will hopefully get a little bit of, that'll decrease what the average homeowner pays on a regular basis. Just by a little bit, not much, but every little bit helps.
I think, Adam, you're known. I think you have a good shot at this precinct 4 Commissioner's Court because you have a reputation of being a financial conservative while you were in the Fort Bend Independent School District School Board.
Correct. And my race, my campaign couldn't be going better. The way that we're looking at things, I'm trying to win this primary without a runoff in a 4-way race, and it's looking like it's doable.
So you're on the golf carts? You're on the golf courses?
Well, not so much the golf course. So I campaign on a golf cart.
Okay.
But this whole thing, and I never wanted to be a politician.
So we can see you on Highway 99 on a golf cart?
No. I like living. So I do not take my golf cart on the Grand Parkway. Although I've recently been seeing a guy on a bicycle on Grand Parkway. But no, I never wanted to get into politics. This whole thing started when I got out of the Army. I moved to Rosenberg and, did the American Dream thing, bought a house in an HOA neighborhood, and did even more of the American Dream thing and bought a wakeboard boat. And first time I backed into the driveway, HOA crazy lady, she didn't like it, started yelling at me. And I started getting violation notices. I didn't even store my boat.
So an HOA lady is the reason that you
got into politics,
started your pursuit of a political career.
Yeah, because she was claiming, and really she just didn't like that a 22-year-old had a boat. That's what the issue was. It wasn't storage because I didn't store the boat there because I like my things clean, keep it in a storage locker. And, well, so every time I bring it home, I'd get a violation letter. And, I found out that, if I talk to all my neighbors and they vote for me instead of her, she would be off the board. And I found out that she was up for election. So I have a golf cart, and I grabbed a case of beer, got on the golf cart, and went and talked to every neighbor with an open garage. And it turned out, nobody liked her either. And so...
Did you give beer out? Did you give them beer to vote for you?
Not to vote for me, but
but they got a beer.
The conversation.
There's a campaign violation there, right there. I know it.
Over a beer tends to, tends to get on the same understanding on a lot of things, and I believe. I mean, shoot, I bet 90% of our political issues could be solved by drinking beer and having a discussion.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. So okay, let's get into it. Let's first talk Harris County, the state of infrastructure in Harris County. You were talking about the flooding. It seems to be a pressing issue. We have an aging infrastructure in Harris County. Tell me about it. Tell me what is the pressing issue with regard to the infrastructure in Harris County.
Yeah, so, people just don't want to be flooded. I mean, with the taxes increase, the Harris County Commissioners Court took advantage of homeowners when Hurricane Beryl came through. They maxed us out at 8%.
What does that mean? They maxed us out at 8%.
Well, they went and had a vote and said, "Hey,
an emergency vote for an emergency
vote. As soon as the governor
situation.
said, "Hey, we're going to declare it a state of emergency,"
They can vote and jack up
your taxes.
Without a vote from the citizens. That's those disaster pennies we were talking about last time.
Is 8% the cap?
The 8%'s the cap.
Ooh, okay, so keep talking.
Maxed us out. Maxed us out.
And that's the current commissioner's court did
That's
that.
current commissioner's court.
Democrat stronghold,
Yep.
Harris County.
Said, hey, you know what? Our communities are vulnerable and they need us, but let's raise the taxes on them because we need more money. And
it's
where
a
we're at.
spending orgy in Harris County right now.
Yeah.
I guess you could call it that too in Fort Bend.
It's a dicey word that I used, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They're just doing whatever they want to do.
Okay, so
I mean, when you give out, we're in a $200 million deficit, and you're able to give out, almost, let's just say 40 individuals with salaries over $250,000, with 9 of those recipients being able to receive a salary over $400,000, with one person receiving a raise of $184,000, in a $200 million deficit, like you said, just handing out money. I mean, come on. Like, there's a lot of issues there. You know what I mean? And they say, oh, we balance the budget. No. By law, you're required to balance the budget. We're not idiots, but they act like they're these champions, that they did this great big thing. Well, how did you balance the budget? What projects did you cut? Everybody laughs at Lena Hidalgo because she acted out of character over cutting the budgets for the children, but that's one of the programs that they decided to cut. And they started cutting everywhere else too, letting people go. How many families that really needed the money, that the single mom, single dad that's out there making $50,000 a year, putting their child in daycare, had to get let go because they wanted to give these raises to their friends?
okay, we're going to come back to all that. Okay, because you went through a whole bunch of stuff that people don't know about. You know about it intimately, but the average people don't, so we're going to go through it again, okay? But before that, we're going to talk about the featured product, which is the X39 patch. This thing is amazing. This is an incredible technology. It's the fastest growing company in the world today. It is the X39 patch. This patch is a medical technology that's revolutionary. It's taken the world by storm. It reverses age. I'm going to say it again. It reverses age. It doesn't slow age. It's not anti-aging. It reverses age. And what I mean by that is that it's a patch. This is it right here on my arm, okay? And with 6 months of wearing this daily, wear 12 hours a day, it reverses the age of your heart up to 8 years, by almost a decade, okay? Seems hard to believe, but all clinical trials are done, all legal filings are in. It is a fact. It's happening. The X39 patch reverses the age of your heart by up to 8 years. So it reverses the age of your heart by up to 8 years. And what that means on your body is all sorts of good things, different things to different people. Some people have their lower back pain go away. Some people have their tinnitus go away. Some people, it helps with autism. It's all different things, all different benefits to different people. But one thing is for certain, it will make you look younger. Without question, you will look younger. With 6 months of use, it turns back the clock almost a decade. So my question for the ladies out there, would you want to look younger by almost a decade? I know the answer is yes, you all would. The question for the husbands out there, all the other husbands have already gotten their wives the X39 patch and are turning back the years. Are you going to do it for your wife, right? This is the X39 patch. What it does is it makes you look younger. It gives incredible amounts of energy. It's a huge benefit to your life. What it is photolight therapy that triggers the copper peptide. So our bodies emit light, and what this does is it redirects the light back into your body, triggers the copper peptide, which wakes dormant stem cells. And stem cells are the essence of life. It brings them back to life. It's the X39 patch. It's the fastest growing company in the world today. And to learn more about it, inbox me on Facebook. Text me if you have my cell. Or get a hold of me somehow. And we'll get you the X39 patch. It's affordable. All right, guys. So jumping back into the local mess that is Harris County. All right, go through it again. Tell me about there was the Hurricane Beryl, and what happened is that the opportunists in the county commissioner's court saw it as a way to raise taxes without a vote, and they raised it to the full cap of 8%. They tax hiked the heck out of the people. They got a huge cash flow coming in, and what happened?
They decided to give their buddies pay raises.
And they gave pay raises out.
During a $200 million deficit, right? So they decided to, again.
Are you talking about the salaries of all of the bureaucrats in Harris County? That they're constantly posting these salaries, 400,000, 500,000?
Yep. So there was 9 of them that they handed out. All of them got over $400,000. They now make over $400,000. Previously, they didn't make over $400,000. But because of the raises that they got. And then there was an additional 25 individuals that got salaries bumped up over $250,000 during a $200 million deficit. Let that sink in. You're a finance guy, Adam. I mean, how does that make sense?
Well, you can't justify that. Not only is it a deficit, but they're disaster pennies based on a state of emergency. So your constituents are recovering from an emergency while their cost of living just went up because of a tax rate and reaching into disaster pennies, and now the powers to be are paying themselves more with that money. It's unethical.
It's legalized corruption.
Absolutely. And then the homeowners insurance go up, right? Because now everybody's filing on insurance claims. And then they're going to turn around and ask the state and the federal government for what? For money. Why? Because they got to get out there and help their community. How did they help us? How did they help us in the fastest growing, worst economy in our lifetime? And how are you helping us by raising taxes instead?
Yeah, while our economy is hyperinflating under Joe Biden's administration, they're raising taxes on everybody. They're putting people out of their homes. They're putting the grandmas out of their homes.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what we're up against.
So, what is the state of infrastructure in Harris County today?
Very weak. Mm-hmm. What's sad is, I talk with a lot of business owners because I'd like to bring businesses to Precinct 2, to Harris County in general. No one's going to want to come with a weak infrastructure, period. NASA's doing a massive expansion out there, and they're going to bring in, they're going to bring in engineers. They're going to bring in, space individuals, like, rocket scientists and all these other people. They're doing such a big, big development out there. And I was in a meeting with some of these guys, and I was just, hearing what they're planning on doing. And I just said, hey guys, I said, we're entering, at that time it was last year, we're entering a hurricane season. With the current administration that already raised an 8% hike, if we have another hurricane here, do you think they'll do it again? And if they do, that's a 16% hike in the last 2 years. Now, on taxes, let me ask you this. Because the people that you guys are trying to bring in to come work here are educated individuals. Can you tell me that they're going to want to move here, that it's a desirable community for them to move their family, place them into these schools, and buy this house that they want to raise their family in because they've always wanted to work here at NASA? Do you really think these individuals are going to move their family with the current administration in? And half the room was like, man, that was good. We didn't think about that. But you better think about it because these are the people that are in the office.
Well, if I went Fort Bend, they're going to want to move to Fort Bend County.
Yeah, that's
We're
right.
going to talk about Fort Bend in a minute because you're going to pigeonhole the spenders on that court. So
yeah,
let's talk about Adrian Garcia. There was something about a lawsuit with him recently. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so County Commissioner's Court was able to appoint somebody to the Gulf Coast Protection District, and they appointed Adrian Garcia.
Gulf Coast, again, what is that
the
again?
Gulf Coast Protection District.
And what is that?
It was designed by the state to help the industry, which the taxpayers fund. So that, which is just crazy. It's no benefits to you and I as Gulf Coast residents, but it helps the industries along the Gulf Coast and protecting them. Anyways, Adrian gets appointed to that seat. He takes an oath and he's able to vote on raising taxes. Major issue. Now, the Harris County bylaws state that the moment that he or anyone takes a position in another commissioner's seat, being able to tax on both sides of the fence, obviously, number one, it's unethical. But two, you automatically resign your seat in Harris County. So when he did that, we filed a lawsuit, and it went to district court, which we knew we weren't going to get anywhere in district court because it's all Democrat judges in Harris County. Got thrown out. We sent it up to the Texas Court of Appeals. We just got back that the Texas Court of Appeals want to hear oral arguments in April, which means the county's position is they would like the we have no legal standing and they want to be able to throw it out. And the appeals court said no. We want you both to come, and I want to hear the oral arguments, and I want this case to be presented now in front of the courts.
Are you involved in the court case? Are you involved in this matter?
I'm the one who filed the lawsuit.
Okay.
I
So
absolutely.
you're testifying.
Oh yeah. I'm a very concerned
And he
citizen.
has to, and he's going to,
So
he's pressed, okay.
yeah. So here's the thing. So the lawsuit states that because this is a vacant seat, I would like to be the county commissioner. So the judge can appoint anybody that she wants right now, and they haven't. They've allowed somebody to sit on that seat and vote and operate as a commissioner, and when that's a vacant seat, and it has been for well over a year.
I think that Harris County, I don't know. I mean, certainly through the show, I've become aware of the nightmare that is Harris County with this insane spending, this out of control budgets, this, explosive debt. But do the common people on the streets know that Harris County's in a bad way?
I think they're starting to wake up. So here's what somebody told me: you have no chance with the Harris County Commissioner's Court. And here's what I'll say: 4 or 5 years ago, if you watched County Commissioner's Court, there'd be like 1 or 2 people in the room. Now they have an overflow room. They have so many people coming to testify.
The hornet's nest has been awakened.
Absolutely. I think, you know what? I'm grateful for it because they have presented themselves as the examples over the last, let's just say 4 years. And they've turned it into a clown's court, is what I call it. And it's so entertaining that all these individuals like to go up there and testify on how rotten their communities have become, how crime-ridden they are, how horrible the flooding has become, and why they've cut so many child programs and all these other things that they've allowed to go public, and the media has caught attention. And it's done good it's good for me and people like me that want to defend our communities.
Okay, we're going to get back to Harris County in a minute, but I want to ask Adam. Adam, tell me about the state of spending in Fort Bend County today.
Well, Fort Bend County has been spending money on just some ridiculous things that they shouldn't have. A massive event center, monuments that are over $10 million monuments, things that they don't do anything for infrastructure. It's just, somewhat feel-good things. And, which, okay, maybe would be okay if we had a massive industrial tax revenue base that funded the county beyond any and everything that we could ever want to do without having to be soaking the residential tax base up and increasing residential tax. But we're not there. We don't have any kind of large industry in Fort Bend County, and the vast majority of what funds the county is the residential taxpayer.
So in the county commissioner's court, I think that they're they seem to be very aggressive spenders with the exception of Andy Myers.
Correct.
So I would say it's 4 for spending, 1 against. And of course, the judge race is coming up, and but my question is, when you get on that court, how are you going to counter those individuals that want to spend and have the citizens look the other way?
Well, just like on the school board, I'm a vote no on spending. I vote no on spending if it's not necessary, especially if you're in any kind of a deficit like Fort Bend ISD is. We can't spend money on things unless it is truly a necessity. If it's not to keep the lights on, air conditioning running, it needs to not be spent. Just like, and then not to mention, trying to pay off bonds. Gordon Ramsay, pay off your smallest piece of debt first. Let's focus shifting money onto paying off the smaller bonds. That way that can be removed off of the INS side of our funding. And then, I'd like to see Fort Bend County in a situation where we've got the industry backing in order to where we never have to do a bond ever again. And I think it's possible. And I also think that the residential tax revenue the residential tax base could be cut substantially.
Okay, so that's a bold statement. First, let's talk about that. How would you get it so that the Fort Bend County would, the bonds are being spent for what sort of things, and how would you remove that from the agenda?
Well, so a bond is a loan, okay? And essentially, and this is a 20-year plan. This is if I can hold the seat for 20-something years. By bringing in industrial development districts that will subsidize, bring utilities like, power and sewage, water, and roadways to industrial sites, future industrial sites. And once they're built, and there's the tax revenue from industrial, because industrial tax revenue that's the cream of the crop when it comes to tax revenue.
I mean, Fort Bend County's in a great spot to get industrial tax revenue.
It absolutely is.
I mean, it's not there today, but it's really
so,
cool. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So if Fort Bend County Precinct 4 ends up being my second career, and I do that till I'm as old as Andy Myers, no pun, and joke to Andy for being.
Andy will go along with that joke.
Yes, he would laugh at it, but
he's got a good sense of humor.
If I can hold that seat for as long as Andy Myers had, I would be looking at things like how to dredge the Brazos River. Somebody 50 years ago or longer was thinking of this, because every single bridge that crosses the Brazos it's to commercial height and standard. A lot of those bridges have channel markers on them. The channel marking lights. And being able to dredge the Brazos, well, now all of a sudden we've got flood control of the #1 flooding river in Fort Bend County. Mix in the Brazos River Authority project and building the reservoir out towards Wallace. Mixing in those two things would dang near eliminate the flooding problems in Fort Bend County. There's more issues on the smaller side flooding, like you were talking about Beryl. Fort Bend County, when we got hit with Harvey, the infrastructure, the piping underneath the streets in residential neighborhoods, all that water sitting in those pipes for dang near a month caused damage to a lot of those pipes, and they're separating in a lot of those seams. And I was just talking with a constituent yesterday about this. If you look in his neighborhood, and it hasn't rained in, a couple of days, but there are puddles of water along the curbs, all about 100 feet apart. Well, come to find out, those sticks of pipe were about 100 feet, and that's a spot where those pipings are separating, and the ground is sinking, and the water's pooling on the street there. And we've got that problem all over Fort Bend County, and that was something, guarantee you have the same problem in Precinct 2, Harris County, and guarantee you that those disaster pennies, that's what those disaster pennies were meant to fix, are problems like that. Guarantee you they didn't fix that in Harris County, just like it's not fixed here in Fort Bend.
I think Fort Bend County is in a pivotal spot to either blossom or die. And what I mean by that is that there's two visions for the county coming out of the Commissioner's Court, one of which is held by Andy Myers, which is widening the, what is it again? Widening
Brazos.
Dredging
the Brazos River, so that way we can. So, and my idea from that came from being a boat guy. The closest boat ramp to my house in Richmond, Texas, closest boat ramp is in West Columbia on the San Bernard River, which the San Bernard River was in a lot of ways very similar to the Brazos. Narrow, it wasn't usable for much of anything. It was a few steps up from a creek. And when Phillips 66 opened up their oil transfer plant in Sweeney, well, that was done because the only reason that they did that was because they could run barges up and down, these massive 250-foot barges up and down the San Bernard River from the Deepwater Port of Freeport and the refineries in Freeport to Sweeney, where then it gets put onto trucks. As we were talking about this on another previous show, the only deepwater port in the state of Texas is Freeport. And every single day, there's 15 to 17,000 tractor trailers that leave Freeport, drive right through Fort Bend County, going to Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, or even Houston. And that's a tax on our infrastructure. We're not gaining any funds from all that product traveling through Fort Bend County, but we're paying for the infrastructure for 80,000 pounds worth of tractor trailer driving over our road. Now, if we can dredge the Brazos and run barges up the Brazos like they do the San Bernard, we just reduced our tractor trailer traffic flow by anywhere from 10,000 units a day to, from 17,000 units a day to maybe 4,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, so ideas like that are just incredible. And so we have this, where we can expand what I will call the necessary infrastructure, like, for example, that, or the Rosenberg Industrial Park that they have planned. I've heard of concepts of extending rail lines. That sort of stuff, it would be incredible for Fort Bend. It would, bring that industrial base that we need, bring that business class in for so that we could lessen the taxes on the residential base. And that's one vision. But what concerns me is from the Economic Development Department of Fort Bend County, where they push out this idea where we're going to be this booming metropolis to rival Houston. And what does that mean? It means, new expansive projects, epicenters and sports coliseums and all these things. And they always keep it there. They don't say it yet, but they want light rail and public transportation. And that would be a nightmare.
Well, people move to Fort Bend County because it's close enough to Houston, and you can live close enough to work in Houston and far enough away to not deal with Houston problems. And unfortunately, we're just getting absorbed by the Metroplex now. And to be able to safeguard Fort Bend to not be a Metroplex and just be we're supposed to be a neighborhood community. We were 10 years ago. We were a neighborhood in rural county, and that went away. Precinct 4 has very, very little rural property. There's almost no room for development, and those small. I was driving through it with my wife today, and it was, well, look, honey, this is the last piece of rural property that you'll see in Precinct 4. And she asks me, well, are you wanting to keep it that way? I go, I would love to. However, all this is already zoned and plotted to be apartment complexes, strip centers, and a neighborhood. So we don't have much room for growth in Precinct 4. And because we are now a neighborhood, Fort Bend is basically a big neighborhood, we need to try to keep it that way and keep it a place that, people can work in Houston and then get away from Houston and be in the suburbs.
Richard, so tell me about the state of crime in Harris County.
Well, awful, right? So, our law enforcement are definitely undermanned. City of Houston, I know it has nothing to do with the county, but they need to hire about 5,000 officers, man. The sheriffs, we need to increase their, as well as the constables all the way around. Our law enforcement, we need more of. And then we need DAs to be able to actually keep criminals in jail.
We need to gut the entire DA. And I'm not talking about the rank and file. I'm talking about the leadership. I've been in the Harris County, Houston District Attorney's Office, and it's the best professionals. But the agenda at the top, the Soros agenda, is a cancer for the community.
Oh, it's a nightmare. You let people with capital murders get out of jail and walk around to terrorize our communities. When you have over
which only expands more crime, because when people know that there's no repercussions, to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have 400 families that are victims of murder from somebody who was let out of jail with charges of murder.
How many?
Over 400.
And better yet, a lot of those are PR bonded.
Oh yeah,
No
that's
money- no
under
money
the
bonds.
O'Donnell, which they just did away. The O'Donnell decree, which the Commissioner's Court allowed to happen, right? So this allows somebody that got charged with murder to go and get a PR bond, meaning they can get out of jail under $100 from $100 to $0. All you gotta do is just say you're poor. I'm poor. I can't afford it. Okay, no problem. Just sign here and you can go.
And over 400 families that are the victim of murder, the perpetrator's out.
Perpetrators out.
To terrorize that family. That family's not going to talk.
So look, that criminal got arrested for murder, got out on a PR bond to commit murder again.
Commissioner's Court they need to go to jail
That's
for
awful,
that.
man. Absolutely.
They need to go to jail for that. Is this a result of the Commissioner's Court or the District Attorney's Office?
That's the Commissioner's Court. They adopted the O'Donnell decree.
And
That's
what is
they
the
did.
O'Donnell decree?
That was that's exactly what it is.
It allows for the PR bonds.
It allows for the PR bonds to be extended. It was only supposed to go to misdemeanors, but they allowed felons to be able to adopt it.
And so there are people being hurt out on the streets, ravaged out on the street now because of the Harris County Commissioner.
Yeah, they don't care about the citizens. They care about the criminals.
They are people that are not grounded is what the problem is. They are not grounded. Okay, so then tell me, I mean, how many precincts are up for election right now in Harris County?
In Harris County, there's 2.
In the judge race. So there's 3.
Yeah, three.
Right, okay. What are the chances of turning Harris County red?
You know, it's a swing. It really is a swing, but you can't win Harris County without precinct 2. You know, here's the thing. People are tired of what has gone on in our communities. And I think most people are pretty much aware of the big issues. And I know the Democrats feel the swing coming. However, there's a lot of issues on a national level that gets people thinking that they can't get out there and support Republicans because of, say, ICE issues or other issues that will hurt us in the general election, which that shouldn't be the reason to not elect people that care about our communities and actually change what has been going on, because the Democrats are going to run with that issue all the way through and through.
ICE.
Absolutely. They're going to run with it.
But I mean, I don't think it has any weight. I don't think that the momentum is on the Democrat. The victim card's gone. I feel like the patriotism card is now the rising stock.
I would hope so, you know.
But I mean, do you hope so? But my statement, if I go out to the low to middle income communities of all different types in Harris County, what is their sentiment?
People, you know, people just want to be safe, man. They want to be safe in their homes. This is what I say. Look, there's no woman out there that if they have to run to Walmart at 9:30 at night, that they feel safe and that they're going to go, period. And that's not okay. They need to feel safe in their communities. If they need to run to the store to get something for their child, for them, their husband, whatever it may be, that they need to run and go do real quick, they should feel safe enough to run to Walmart real quick, get what they need for the next day, and feel safe. And no one feels, and I say no one, no woman feels safe just running to the store at 9:30 at night like that. In any community at this point, which is horrible.
Okay, give me your take on the state of the Harris County Republican primary judge race.
Well, so, you know, that's heated up. There's a lot of look, and on all races, I don't say all races, a lot of races in the Republican primaries, you have a lot of Democrats that are running in Republican primaries. And here's what I'll say. If you're a Democrat and you want to run in a you want to come and be a part of the Republican Party, come and prove yourself. Don't
Okay,
just
who
come
are you
in
referring
and-
to?
Just people. I mean, a lot of races. If we look at our ballots right now, we have a lot of people that have come out of the Democrat Party. They might not say they were in the Democrat Party, but if you voted for Democrats in the primary, if you funded Democrats, you're a Democrat. Period. Don't just come and jump in a race. Come prove yourself and show that you are a Republican, because we have really good candidates. We have really good Republicans that would hold offices and do a great job with our Republican values, period. What you've caused is a lot of people to spend money and not prepare for the battle that is really ahead. And you really hurt us more than helped us.
Sounds like things are a possibility in Harris County. It sounds like it's a possibility that county can be saved, that it can be turned red, and could turn.
Look, the
could turn in
governor's
right
committed
direction.
to it, right? Governor's committed to Harris County. He wants to be able to flip it. He wants to take Harris County.
What
back.
has he done
That's the
to
thing.
commit? What's he's done?
I mean, he's doing all kinds of meet and greets all throughout.
He's
the
down there.
county.
That's commendable.
Absolutely. Yep. He is. He definitely is, and he's got teams everywhere, all over the county. I mean, he is rooted in Harris County.
That's
right
very impressive by Greg Abbott, because he kind of is not always a consistent player. So, but yeah, that's great that he's doing that for the county. That would be a big deal. I hope we can pull it off. Adam, so tell me about the state of crime in Fort Bend County.
Well, crime is always an issue. Well, I'll tell you, when I started in law enforcement 12 years ago in Fort Bend County, and I worked other places in the nation in law enforcement, but I came to Fort Bend County 12 years ago. And when I was first started working as a law enforcement officer in Fort Bend County, Fort Bend had a reputation. None of the criminals wanted to be booked into Fort Bend. When a lot of times you'd arrest somebody and they go, "Oh, we're going to Harris County." Right? No, you're in Fort Bend. You're going to Fort Bend. Oh man, can you just take me to Harris County? Can you just take me to Harris County? And it was normal to hear that. When Houston Police Department would have pursuits that would come down 59 into Fort Bend, HPD would back off of the pursuit because the Fort Bend Sheriff's Office will be sitting there at 59 in the Beltway, basically old school with shotguns out, ready to handle business, and they didn't want to get caught in the crosshairs of Fort Bend being able to do police work where HPD was where their hands were tied behind their back. And if I get on the commissioner's court, I am going to give the sheriff's office and the constable's office the funding to hire the best quality law enforcement officers who have a desire to be proactive policemen and women, and the funding for them to have an overwhelming amount of patrol officers that criminals will start looking at Fort Bend County as a place that they are to be afraid of.
But the issue in Fort Bend County is that the sheriff holds reign over the county police department, the sheriff's department, and he's put an environment in there that's anti-police, and it's not necessarily salaries that are entirely the cause for us losing good officers. It's the culture of the police department in Fort Bend County today.
And thankfully, we still have some good constables. We still have some good elected constables who are advocates for proactive police work and encourage their deputies to go out and hunt for crime. Look for those cars that don't belong in a neighborhood at 2:00 in the morning. Find a reason to stop them. You find weapons, drugs, money, and they go to jail. It's plain and simple. We need to get with law enforcement. We need to get back to the basics of bad guy behind bars. It has been over the last 10 years. Law enforcement, the culture has shifted, and a lot of guys are afraid to do their jobs. That is an issue, but the key point is criminals used to be afraid to be caught in Fort Bend County. And it's time that they are afraid to come to Fort Bend County. If you come to Fort Bend County to commit a crime, you should be very afraid of what's going to happen to you, that you're going to be put behind bars for the long time, that our prosecutors and our judges are going to go after the maximum sentences. And our law enforcement officers have every single tool in the book and are compensated very well to be the best law enforcement in the state of Texas.
Well, thank you both, gentlemen. I appreciate your time tonight. I think that we are on the brink of possibly taking back our communities, and I want to thank men like Richard and Adam, who are leading the fight with all of the best ideas to restore our communities back to what they once were. It's an incredible fight that we're in, and I appreciate both of you, men.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Richard, tell us where people can learn more about your campaign.
RichardVega.us. RichardVega.us. Head on over there. You can check everything out and follow A through Z.
Adam, tell us where people can learn more about your campaign.
My name, Adam Schoof, on Facebook. You can search my name on Facebook. If you Google Adam Schoof, you'll find all kinds of news articles, anything and everything you'd ever want to know about me, including a website.
Perfect. Thank you, fellas, both. And
Thank you.
This is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show. We have another show tomorrow night that's going to be a banger. So make sure you tune in. Have a great day.
This is The Chris Heasley Show. A Mike Kahn presentation. Coming to you from Radiodabang, the North America's premier broadcasting network.